Welcome back to my new program called Making Contact. It's an activation for this book that I just wrote, and I actually have two of the authors of this. It's a compilation anthology about making contact with these higher dimensions. These I could call them extraterrestrials, but who knows? They're more a part of us these days than anything else. So I'm very happy with all the people watching, and co-hosting every week with me is Henrietta Weekes, who is a contributor to the Making Contact volume. And you can get that on Amazon. I know it's a little bit of a commercial, but you can get that on Amazon at just look up Making Contact down in Steinfeld. You see a whole list. And also here tonight is the person who really puts the conclusion to the book, Carolyn Cory. And she is she's one of the most well-versed contact people I've met. She's also a director and producer of many films. Her latest one is Superhuman, Making the Invisible Visible. You can order that right now on Amazon Prime. It is really a fantastic movie. And especially for people who don't think any of this stuff is real, it's all woo-woo, it's out there. No, this is real. And Caroline's movie shows us how real it is. Thanks for being here, Caroline.
Thanks for having me, Alan. How are you?
Thank you, Caroline, for being here. Can you hear
Henrietta, me? Good to see you guys.
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, there's your movie.
There it is.
Oh, there. Yes. This is, yes, Superhuman, The Invisible Made Visible. What do you want to say about that film, Caroline? Do you have anything you would like to add to, like,
everybody keeps, yeah. I mean, so we've been talking about the mind, consciousness creates your reality. Your mind has an effect on your physical world. But to me, I just wanted to go the extra step in this movie, not just talk about it as a theory, but demonstrate, validate on camera scientifically how that's possible, how the mind actually interacts with the physical world and has a measurable effect. So this film, I think it's never been done before in this way, has a series of on-camera experiments with scientists leading the experiments, where we demonstrate live how your mind can actually move an object or change the pH in water, or you're able to see remotely certain things. So that's what I think this movie brings, is this additional level of credibility, of validation. And especially we then have people who can see with blindfolds on. I mean, it's really, I think, really the next level of validation. So for all the people who have been out there talking about energy medicine or downloading information, and all of that is really put in this film in a very credible way. So I'm very, very excited about it.
Alan?
We can't hear you.
Oh.
No,
you can't
sorry.
hear me.
I'm sorry. No, you can't hear me. No, I was muted. I just wanted to bring on
Alan's
one more.
Well, I'm so excited about seeing it.
Can you see me now?
I was so interested in how you talk about the information behind physical disease and being able to see that, and then moving objects with the mind, everything. And that this film, like you say, taking it to that next level of actual demonstration on camera.
Yeah,
I've just been reading a book called Extraordinary Knowing by Elizabeth Lloyd Meyer, which is incredible stories about surgeons and all different kinds of people who sort of come out of the closet and say that, they have these helpers and lights and all kinds of, and premonitions through dreaming. And it really excites me that you've made this film that is then going to demonstrate on camera these kind of things, because, it's like it's it's been happening for a long time, but a lot of people have had to keep quiet about it. You know,
not just quiet, but it's like, you know, it's like maybe you believe, or a lot of people believe, that the mind has an effect, or, but even if we believe, I think we needed this additional level of validation. I think not that we are right, not so much that are we right, are we wrong, not so much, but just to kind of show scientifically how it's working, the mechanics of it. And so that's what I think is, you know, why this film takes it to a whole new level. And it should be very empowering for people, you know, who have been working and talking about this for so long, you know, to finally see it in film, that all these scientists, all these experiments that we do on camera, how we see the measurements, we see the results right there. So it's very, very exciting. I really think everybody should watch this film, at least, again, to, even if you believe in it, it just brings, and also it brings some sort of activation, I think, just because it's something you've known deep inside you. But then when you watch this, when other people are demonstrating these things, people from all walks of life, not just a select few, you know, who have been working in this field, people who have never done any of this before, we train them to do telekinesis, move objects in 2 hours, they can do it. I mean, it's pretty awesome stuff.
Wait, I just want to bring in Roderick Martin. Do you hear me and see me now, everybody? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. No, Roderick has been a real great partner in the UFO field. He has a clubhouse that we want to get you on, Caroline. He has a great clubhouse on Clubhouse, the app, and I've been on every Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he is also a MUFON director. So I really wanted to invite him here because he covers the MUFON angle, and we're going to get into the UFO stuff. But Roderick, any comments about the Superhuman film that we've just been talking about?
Well, I just got in on it, and but it's I read the bio of everything, and I did have a surprise for you, Alan. I got a surprise for you, but Anjali,
what was that?
Anjali is on here with us, and I can cue her in and say hello to you. Yeah.
Oh, you can cue. We'll get to Angela because it'll take a little bit to explain who she is.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
After, actually, Carolyn, you were on that call last night too, weren't you? But let's just go. Yes. Yeah, Carolyn. And so let's just finish up the Superhuman part. And then we will go into the whole UFO thing, which that's where you come in. And then there's lots of people online actually wanting to ask you questions also, Caroline. I don't know what happened to Henrietta, but just as far as Superhuman, what is the next step? You presented this film because you're saying this is our evolution, but what do we need to do to evolve as a race of beings? It's not just special people who could see through blindfolds, remote view. What do we need to do as a civilization?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So Alan, I told my little story many times, but just briefly, you know, I've started doing all these sorts of things, seeing on the other side of the wall, hearing people's thoughts, you know, healing people since I was 5 years old, seeing extraterrestrials, seeing beings since I was 5 years old. So I know that we have this innate ability. I don't think I'm special. I think the only reason why I continue to develop that is so that I can convey the message. And, you know, I've been training so many people, and that's exactly what we show in the movie, that anybody can just go in and do a little bit of training and be able to, you know, do telekinesis, move object, or see remotely and do all this sort of stuff. So that's exactly what we show in the movie and what I want people to take away from the movie. And so I think also the message is that, what are we waiting for? You know, it's almost like we already have these innate abilities. And so when we do, for example, connect with an extraterrestrial, or we download information, or we see a UFO, it's like we are programmed to doubt. We're programmed to fail. Like we're programmed to say, did I make this up? Wait a minute, was this real? We are so programmed to think that we're not capable. And so that's the reason why I think the purpose of this film is to empower people to just get on with it. Just start doing this work. Just go for it. Your mind is free, So with just a little bit of training, you should be able to kind of get back on track to evolve your mind to a point where when you do see an extraterrestrial, when you do tap into information, you don't go into this old programming, but you just go for it. The telepathic communication happened to me, like I said, when I was 5 with beings, non-human beings. And so it's really a natural phenomenon. We just have to do a little bit of training. That's all that is required. So that's what I'm hoping the movie will do. Because the communication with extraterrestrial intelligence is kind of a common language. It's not like they speak English or French or Chinese. They tap into a type of sort of a coded language that is universal, meaning any being within the universe knows this language. So it's not like you don't have to learn it. It's part of the DNA of intelligent life. And so all you have to do is align yourself, be in a certain vibration so that you can tap into this layer of universal language. And that's how you're able to hear messages, understand the messages, communicate telepathically, and so on and so forth. So, again, in a nutshell, what do we need to do? A little bit of training. That's all. But it starts with the belief.
Well, thank you. That's great. Well, this is where I think Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick, for example, a little side story, which is related to UFO. One time, because I've trained myself to do this, not to go into the old paradigm programming. One time I saw a UFO right above my house, literally. It was three lights, and they were like bouncing like this within each other. So I looked up, instead of saying, did I make this up? I started communicating. I said, if you are what I think you are, then do something or follow me. So I started walking, literally, like I started walking in one direction, half a mile. And then those things were like following me, literally. Then I changed direction, and then they were following me again in another direction. And then they started, and then I said, okay, we'll do something else. And then they would split into 6. So my point being, like, this phenomenon of telepathic contact and UFO sighting is much, much more easy than we think. You know what I mean? It's much more organic than we think. We just have to kind of know a little bit, train our mind to kind of know how to tune in and how to tap into this information, and it just starts to become a habit.
Well, let me just jump in here a little bit, because this woman who was on the Clubhouse yesterday, who had just a recent contact and is sort of new to this. I wonder, Roderick, does Anjali, since she is new, does she have a question for Carolyn about what Carolyn's been through since she was 5? So do you want to patch her in, or just have her tell you, ask you through you a question?
No, I can patch her into our
okay.
I have that good equipment here. So
because
Anjali,
I think it's interesting.
Hello, I am here. Thank you.
Great. So do you have a question for Carolyn? Because she's been doing this since she was 5 years old and talking. So
sure. I just tuned in with Roderick a few minutes ago, so I wasn't able to hear everything, but I did find myself really drawn to this idea of being programmed for doubt, and being programmed to think that we aren't capable, and being programmed to reject things that don't fit within a particular paradigm of what our reality is. And one of the primary messages that the beings have been very clear on is that what you think is going on here is not what's going on. And that has
Right.
left me. So I missed a lot of what she said, but I have had
Well,
a lot of introspection. Hold on. I'm really going to bring this back. I promise. I've
oh, it's
had a lot of
okay. Go.
introspection.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay, I've had a lot of introspection since my contact experiences, and it's caused me, especially over the last few weeks, to really look back and explore my life. And I have moments like I diagnosed an ex-boyfriend's cancer. I started having dreams of there being a lump in his chest, and I told him, you have cancer. You have a lump growing in your chest. You have a tumor. And it was a year and a half later that he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was based on nothing but an image. And it was downloaded with all of the metadata that I needed. And so I've been really exploring my life. And so, Caroline, I can't wait to see your movie and to learn more about you.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I was saying, that for me, when I was 5 years old, I started to have exactly what you just said, and it was spontaneous. So that's why I think what's happening right now is because we're not trained to accept the fact that these abilities are spontaneous and inherent in our DNA. Something has to happen, some sort of, in your case, a contact experience or some sort of like near-death experience. Like we have to have some sort of shock, in order to then awaken these abilities and almost justify all of a sudden. For example, now you're starting to see the root, the illness of your boyfriend, and I'm sure other things as well. But then I think that I think you connected to your contact experience. And what I'm saying is those contact experiences are the trigger for something that you already had within you. And it's almost like now is the time for you to recognize these abilities and just use them. So that's what I feel the extraterrestrial are helping with. Just kind of activating, triggering that awakening or within us. But these are all abilities that we already have.
What? And one more thing that I think both of you have in common is somehow you've been activated. I mean, I know from your story, Anjali, and Carolyn at Christmas when she was 5 years old. I write about this in the book. You missed that part maybe because she is the last chapter. And about that story, Carolyn, when the beings first show up to you, Carolyn?
Yeah, so I was 5 years. Yeah, so I was 5 years old, and I remember it was Christmas Eve because obviously it's not just any evening. And I remember my parents were just like putting up the Christmas tree and the gifts and stuff, and I remember they were kind of bickering and fighting. It's like, did you forget this or whatever? So I was just looking around, and all of a sudden I started to think, what does this have to do with Christmas? Like, where is Jesus in all of this? And where is the love? Now I'm 5 years old. I'm observing, I'm looking at these adults kind of like, doing all these ridiculous stuff and thinking about love. I kept saying, I don't feel loved. I don't feel the love of Christmas. And so as I'm saying, where's love? Where's love? All of a sudden, these like magnificent beings, it was like a group of beings just showed up. I could see them, hear them, sense them. I could understand everything about them in that split second. And we started communicating telepathically. And they said, we are part of your lineage. It's something very important that, we need to talk about at some point. The lineage, how we are all connected to a specific extra non-human lineage. And so I could see it's almost like I was them on this side of the veil, on the physical side of the veil, and they were me kind of on the other side of the veil. And it was the same stream of consciousness. So I could see exactly where they came from, what they were about, and I could hear everything. Like we were literally communicating. And so the message at that time was, if we are going to stay in this connection with you your whole life, but you have to ask for it. Like you have to say, this is what I want. So, you know, I'm like 5 years old, right? And I'm like, I want this, I want this. So, and then I was like, you know, kind of forcing myself to concentrate on like asking, please, I want to continue this. But I realized that when you focus, that's how telepathic communication, like they would talk maybe something that would be like the equivalent of maybe, I don't know, a whole chapter in a book, and it will be equivalent to like one code. So it's like one code would transfer into my brain, but then as it would get unzipped, like a zip drive, it would unzip and download, it would be like a whole chapter. So I would understand a whole kind of part of what they were talking about, you know, just by this like one code. So it's all coded language. And that's how I realized that telepathic communication works at the age of 5, you know? And so, so what happened is many people ask me, well, did you tell your parents? Did you? I never said anything, thank God, because they would have said, what are you, crazy? There's nobody there, you know? And so, but what happened after this is I started wondering, how did this happen? Like, how is it possible that I could hear, I could see, I could sense, I could understand everything, and nobody else could? So what did my brain need to do to get there? And so, because I wanted to understand the mechanics, and that's how I got into the field of consciousness and the mechanics of consciousness and the science of consciousness and so on and so forth.
Wait, I'm going to take questions in a sec. By Anjali, that sounds like similar to what you have, what you described the other night. Can you? Anjali. Oh,
hello. I could not hear you for a moment. I apologize.
Oh, I'm just saying, okay, what Carolyn talked about, the encoded messages, is similar to what you were saying. Does that help? Like understand what she? Yeah.
Oh yes, it absolutely. It if nothing else, it just reinforces, revalidates for me that that other people have experienced this and they understand how this information is being received, or at least that this information has been received and what that feels like on our end. And I was particularly moved by the 5 years old story, thinking back to one of my earliest strange conversations that I had with my mother. We were driving down the road, and I was about 7 years old, and I said, "Mama, am I a witch?" and she said, "What? Why would you ask such a thing?" And I said, "Because I have pictures in my mind, and I can read books just by looking at them, at my mind." And she said, "Like what?" And so I turned, in my mind, I turned to a page, and I told her in my mind what was on that page. I read a page. I could see it. I could see it in my mind. I was reading it. It was right there. And that was when I was 7.
Right. So you came in upgraded. You came in as a sort of hybrid, I would say, Anjali. And that's interesting as it compares to your story. Hang in there for a little bit. I'm just going to take another question from Sarah here, but you can hang on with Roderick, so don't go away. Sarah, are you with us? Hi. Do you have a question? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful movie. Thank you for the wonderful movie. It's amazing. I need to watch it again because there's secrets in it you're giving away, but it's too fast. I need to catch it up a little bit more. Meaning fast, I have to learn some of the vocabulary to understand even more the depth of the secrets you gave away right there. And you are able to show to the doubting mind of what we need to do from the heart. And my question to you, Carolyn, is how do you know that the messages you're getting are from the good ones versus the dark side?
Yes. You know, I'm so glad you asked that question, because part of the work, I remember I started saying when I was 5 years old, this happened. And then I started asking questions, how did it happen? But I also said, what if I made it up? What if I'm crazy? How do I know? How do I discern? So as I grew up and as I was having more and more experiences, and I got like seriously in the field of consciousness, that was the first thing I wanted to know. How does the guidance system really work? And so I developed a whole methodology to be able to discern. So for example, I created a meditation. I said, how do I know when people say, oh, when I meditate, I am the universe? And I said, how do they know it's the universe? What if they are just merged with trees and the planet? And that feels amazing. It's so much bigger than their normal life. And that feels like the universe. How do we know? And so I would put myself in a very rigorous exercise, and I would start to do the meditation and merge and do all kinds of things. I mean, without getting too technical here. And I would, for example, read and merge with the frequency of the planet, and that would really register in a certain way. And then I would merge with the galaxy or with like the Pleiades, and that would register differently. And then I would merge with the moon, and that would, you see what I mean? So I trained myself to discern the different frequency signature of different things. From planets to stars to the universe, obviously, to the physical body. So how do I know, you know, I'm looking at the liver as opposed to the pancreas, and so on and so forth. So that I took a long time to develop this methodology, which I teach other people to do, by the way. And then I would get validation. So for example, I would see something on planet Saturn, for example. I would see a very specific geometric formation, and I'd be like, okay, how do I know it was real? So NASA would come up with an article that whatever the name of that mission is, you know, we just photographed a hexagon on the North Pole of the. So it was like, okay, well, I saw that 3 months ago, and I knew exactly what it was. Their explanation is not what I think it is, but that's different. But validation, even on a daily basis with people, you know, like the person was talking earlier about, she knew the diagnosis of her boyfriend. I would get that all the time. I would see people, I would say, well, this person had a huge cyst, worked with her. I said, don't go to surgery tomorrow, just do one more biopsy. They do biopsy before and after. It's gone exactly the way I saw it, exactly the size that I saw. You know what I mean? So you start getting validation after validation after validation, to a point where whatever system I've developed and figured out is working. Now, occasionally, I want, you know what I mean? That's how I start to know. And I even, like in college, I put myself through, I trained as a psychologist. Same thing, to make sure that, you know, at the time, that was, you know, I was very young, to make sure that, you know, my brain didn't have some sort of anomaly, you know. So that's how, after many years of training, this discernment process, and I teach that to other people. That's what that was a huge part of the work. And another thing is, when I start, I can see the subtle energy. So it's not like I'm sensing, I see it. So I see the beings around you. For example, I can see Alan, the guy who's always there on the right side of Alan.
You're seeing, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, who is here with me?
Yeah, so I see the beings, and one time,
yes.
Again, same thing. Like I would see them. That's what happened when I was 5. I would see them and hear them and understand them. So I can still
do you see them for Roderick? you see him for Roderick? Besides a little head on the shelf there, do you see his beings?
There's one on the right side. Yeah. Also
Not
Roderick.
yeah.
And then sometimes like I would see the reason also why I know it's real is because I would see things that I had never heard of before. It's not like I've researched and then my subconscious mind picked up, like a little grave. I mean, I would see types of beings that no one's ever talked about before. I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. What part of the universe are you from? And then so that's kind of how I realized that I was seeing what I was seeing was accurate. And then one time I started seeing like those dark entities, and I mean that was another thing. People want to see the beings, but at the end of the day, once you open up to that ability, you can't, like, once you see, you cannot unsee. It's like then you start to see everything. And I realized that I would see entities that were connected to illnesses, all the illnesses that we have, especially cancer. They were usually connected to an entity or what I call attachments. And so when I would sever that entity, whatever, health issue the person had would go away. But you could feel literally the kind of the shift. So that's how, anyway, it's a kind of a long answer, but I thought it was an important question. So,
Carolyn, one more follow-up question. As far as the blindfolding technique that you're teaching as well, if you can elaborate a little bit more, how did it become, and you're teaching it to kids, you keep teaching it to adults, you have a thing, a family kind of group setting. Can you give a little bit more?
We'll describe that first of all. Caroline teaches young children to read through blindfolds. They cannot see outside, and yet they pick up a book and they read word for word, right? What's in the book. So expand on that.
Yeah, so when I was making the movie, I wanted, like I said, find different examples that point to the fact that our consciousness is fundamental, meaning it's not bound to the human body. It could do things beyond what the human brain can do. And so I discovered these kids. The first kids that I found were the kids in the UK. And because there's a lot of stuff online, on YouTube, and I wasn't sure, is this a trick? Is this real? How does it work? So I'm making a really scientific film. So I wanted to make sure that this wasn't some little, thing that a trick that people were faking. So I went and I investigated those kids in the UK first. And literally, the kids could read. So people would say when you watch this, oh, they memorized the book. Yeah, but sometimes you would write something, they didn't know what you were writing, you would show them and they could read it. I would pick up just any object, they didn't know what I was going to pick up, and then they would see it. Not only that, but they were like playing, they were playing ball, they were running around, others were riding a bike, skating, playing ping pong. You try riding a bike, with a blindfold. You see what I mean? This is real. I realized that I investigated several groups. They use different techniques, but it's definitely they end up to the same result where they're able to eventually see the world completely blindfolded. And so to me, that was the ultimate validation that consciousness is beyond the body. And also some people can see behind their back clearly.
Right.
So
yes.
then I just did a conference actually a couple of weeks ago. I had Dean Radin and Tom Campbell and Dr. Fannin, he's a neuroscientist, kind of discuss this phenomenon because it's really mind-boggling, And so, but it's real. So that's why I taught a couple of classes, but really there are other teachers who are teaching different techniques, and it still works. I can't talk about everything that's out there. I don't know if there are other people doing stuff that is fake or whatever. I don't know. I can only speak for the ones that I have investigated, that I've worked with, and that I taught myself.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us. Sarah's part of the remote viewing group. that I've been teaching, and it's incredible the results we get collectively. But as you go deeper into this superhuman thing and who we really are, I want to bring Anjali back because she is getting distinct messages from a group of ETs that are saying now is the time to transcend, to, I guess, maybe even open up to what you're talking about. Anjali, do you want to come in and talk about what you're getting and see what Caroline's response is to that?
Sure, absolutely. Let me formally introduce myself, Caroline. My name is Anjali, and I believe that you heard my story last night. I'm sorry, Alan. I'm trying to do two things at once. Can you rephrase your
I just
question
want
for me?
the essential message you're getting from the ETs you met, that it's time to change. Talk about that. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. The message has been pretty clear. It has been that we must remember. They say, remember who you are. Remember why you're here. And to prepare to transcend. And the transcendence appears to have a direct connection to our ability to communicate with each other and the way in which we structure our communication. And so their message is essentially, hey, we're all divided because we have forgotten. The you, in my opinion, is a collective you. It doesn't feel like they are talking to me. And I really wanted to say something about that last night, but I didn't. Right. We didn't have a chance to get into everything. But I truly felt that, or truly believe that that the you, when they were speaking to me, they were speaking to that single consciousness and asking me to go forward and to tell people what they said. And they said, remember who you are. Remember why you are here. Prepare to transcend this reality, this illusion that you have created that has trapped you here.
Great. I can't wait to do an interview with you about that. But thank you for that. But Caroline, is that similar to what you're getting? And maybe you can also go into what it means to transcend and remember who we are.
Yeah, I'm smiling because that's really my whole work is about that. In fact, you can go on my YouTube channel, and one of the most popular meditation is called Remembering Who You Really Are. And so I've been teaching. Yeah, just go to my website, carolinecory.com, and then go to the YouTube channel. You'll find all kinds of meditation. And the first one.
Yeah, what's the YouTube?
I think if you Google Caroline Cory or Omnium Universe, that's my website.
OMNI Universe, yes, yeah.
Omnium, OMNIUM, Omnium Universe. But also even Caroline Cory, you'll find me there. And then you'll see guided meditation. I think the very first one is Remembering Who You Really Are. It's also on my website, carolinecory.com, and you'll see also all the classes. Thank you. If you go to online classes, you will see Mastering the Human Mind, which is a series basically about exactly what you said. I've been teaching this class for I don't know how many years, like 15 years or something. And it's basically remembering who you are, which is your true divine essence before, not as a past life, before you were ever incarnated. That's not the same thing.
But to jump on Anjali's question, why do the ETs care about that? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's a great question. So they care. Well, I started talking about lineages. Okay. So for example, Alan, you know very well, there's so many people out there who talk to Pleiadians and others who talk to Arcturians and others who talk to reptilians. So why aren't we all talking to the same people? I don't talk to Greys. I'm communicating with a specific type of being. Why is that? It's because it is my lineage. Your lineage is specific to the Arcturian lineage. His lineage is specific to whatever Sirius B lineage. You see what I'm saying? And so that is the reason why when I was 5 years old, I was saying I met those beings, and it's as if I was them on this side of the veil, and they were me on the other side of the veil. So it's the same stream of consciousness. And so if you on this side of the veil are totally lost and confused, and if your purpose in life is to get rich and buy a house and, you know, have kids and that's it, and make as much money, you know, then you are not serving the purpose of implanting that lineage into the human collective consciousness, because you're out doing small stuff. And so when you awaken to who you really are, which is your original divine, I call it divine lineage because it's way, way beyond human, then you activate. It's almost like you open that stream of consciousness through your physical body. So that, for example, everything that I say, everything that I do, when I write a book, when I make a movie, when I'm speaking, I'm not just talking from my human mind. I'm not saying things to impress you or to sell you something. Or I become so conscious when I'm awakened. I become conscious to bring through my cosmic lineage. So it's almost like I'm just a package. I'm just the outside packaging, and it's that powerful energy that is being delivered to you. Now, all of this is frequency. You know, it's not about the words that I'm speaking are a frequency. The energy that I'm putting out is a frequency. So everything that I'm doing right now is pouring when I'm awakened. If I'm not, it doesn't work this way. But if I'm awakened, now I am conscious about bringing this energy through me. And so that frequency is coming out and being integrated within the frequency of the collective consciousness. So now I am adding to the human DNA, the human frequency, and that is allowing it to recognize the frequency signature of my lineage. So
does that make sense, Anjali?
Does that make sense to you guys?
Does that make sense, Anjali, to what's happening with you?
I mean, yes, it makes sense. There's a part that I'm struggling with is that my initial contact, where I knew what the being who was contacting me looked like, is different than the being who I have now been in conscious contact with, that started about a week prior to me deciding that I would come forward in a subreddit.
Yeah.
Probably.
So there's different
I don't know. I don't know why that has changed, but it is a different being.
It's not changed. So let me talk about that, because this is very important. So there are different types of beings doing different things. For example, the angelic realm are usually here to assist you when you pass. You know, they kind of move you from the physical plane to where you're supposed to go. So the fact that they're interacting with you doesn't necessarily mean that you are part of their lineage. They're performing a specific task. And so not every single person that you or extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence that you come in contact with, that is necessarily the lineage. So others are kind of, you see what I mean? So sometimes you're going to have different types of beings, angels, archangels, teachers, just to kind of to move your energy and kind of align you in a certain way so that you become perfectly merged back with your lineage. Does that make sense? And so I think so. I mean, it's a lot to wrap my head around, you know, in 20 minutes, but it's definitely intriguing. And there are so many similarities in our experiences just from the little that I've heard that I am incredibly intrigued to dive deeper into what you know. Yeah, so I mean, I've been teaching this for a very long time, so it's in my books and my classes, on my website.
Wonderful.
But then you see all the different types of beings, what their function is. I mean, way, way, way beyond, the grays and the reptiles. I mean, it's like way, way beyond. There's a whole different types of different categories doing different things. And so usually in the person's lifetime, you're going to have different beings come in at a different time to kind of get you to the next level and to the next level. And then once you are perfectly reconnected with who you really are, meaning your original lineage, this is kind of like the ultimate destination. And then you're kind of off on your own, if you will, I mean, you're never on your own, but these beings always come in and do whatever is needed. If you're in a dangerous situation, it's not necessarily, your lineage that's going to come through. It could be an archangel that shows up or something like that.
But there's one thing Anjali has been talking about, and Roderick can confirm this, is that the time is of the essence. We need to do this now, and it's all coming down. Do you get that too, Caroline?
Oh, absolutely. Especially now, like 2021.
That's right.
It's particularly important because it's almost like all the energies are amplified, but also sped up, and it's also very powerful. So it's almost like a huge current is coming. And so if you have not aligned and figured out what it is that you want, you kind of can get swept away by the current, if you will. But it works in your favor as well, because if you have clearly said, I want to be who I really am. I am here to transcend, to go back to my original self, to align with the divine source, to bring enlightenment, whatever that is.
Yes.
Then that also works in your favor, because this powerful energy will push you in that direction as well. But because the collective, the chaos is so strong, that's the reason why now more than ever before, you have to know what it is that you want, and you better do it right now. So
wow.
That's the reason.
Hey, Roderick, you seem to have tapped into the stream. Do you have any questions about, you are doing it. You are manifesting what you've wanted to do, like coming up the ranks, MUFON, now having this clubhouse. Is there anything you want to ask Carolyn or have to say about what we've been talking about?
No, I'm actually just blown away just to be a part of it all and to be a witness, right? And
you're more than there are no bystanders here.
So, or being a conduit, right? But at the same time, I think we all have had that connected or being reached out to. We just can't comprehend it, So I hear some of the things that they're saying, or she's saying, and it's starting to just make my mind kind of go back to, wow, was this or was it not? And so, and they like, okay. So now it's like tonight I wrote I have my little remarkable tablet here. So I wrote here tonight, I'm just going to tell them, you got to give me a knock me over the head sign now. I just need a big one. not nothing just going to hurt me, but just let me know this is it. This is the message.
You have 8,000 people in your clubhouse room. I recommend Roderick clubhouse room for anyone to get on extraterrestrial evidence. Yes. We want to fill up that club every Tuesday and Thursday night, 8:30 Central. We're going to have Carolyn. We're going to have Anjali. We're going to have a lot of experts in the field back on. Yes.
It's been a phenomenal experience there, and just quickly, it was just a place where I felt that I was going to be able to at least get 20 or 30 people I can talk with. Just, and that was a big group, right? And next thing you know, in 45 days, it's almost 10,000 people. So, so it's
that's.
Are you being helped a little bit? Are you being helped a little bit, right?
I know,
doesn't that hit you over the head there? Isn't that like a boom?
You know what? There you go. I'm gonna accept that one is there. Yes. All right.
And I want to intend for you to double, triple that. And we're bringing all the energy in the universe. Let's bring it on to
Let me get my dust buster. Bring it on. Yeah.
That is fun. No, but you know, Carolyn, what Anjali said, what Roderick said, that is a part of the superhuman facility we have to bring things into manifestation, and things, you know, that we don't even know at this moment what to do with, right? So talk about that. Like, what does the unknown have in store for us that is so much more incredible than the known?
I mean, the way I see the future of the human is I have to say it's not in the immediate future, because it's something that unfolds. A lot of people can already do a lot of these things, but down the road, I want to say that the human configuration stays almost the same in terms of its physicality, but in terms of its ability, I think we're going to require less and less food intake, for example. And it sounds like a trivial detail, but but it's very important, because it's part of how your
Roderick has a little complaint about that.
Okay, I didn't mean.
You know what? That was one of the things that if I haven't talked to Anjali about it, but I would have been like, if I had that opportunity, I would have said, "What do you guys eat? What do you eat that I need to eat to get some of this stuff done?" You know, so that would have been a conversation I would have had about food.
No, but continue.
Yeah, so
Carolyn,
I think from a physiological point of view, you know, it's a different type of upgrade where the human eventually requires less and less physical things to sustain itself. You see, so we're not needing so much food or water or things like that to sustain the body, and we're more relying on our energy and our consciousness to support our structure and our physiology. With that comes the ability to tap into the universal construct, meaning if something is a little bit off, I don't have to go measure it or take temperature or what, you know, this is very physical. It's almost like your consciousness operates as your guidance system in a very organic way. You know where you need to shift something to sustain yourself. You need energy, you can get it from the sun. Instead of feeding yourself, you feel something off in your organs are going to change too eventually. I'm talking 250 years from now, that piece where the digestive system becomes obsolete. But in terms of ability, so it's kind of goes hand in hand. The physiology changes to kind of diminish in a way, have less of an impact, as opposed to our energetic and consciousness abilities that kind of enhance our physicality. So we'll be able to know what's on the other side of the wall, like it's no big deal. We'll be able to read through the physical world like it's no big deal. I can already do that. Like many people can already do that, but I'm talking about the collective. I can see what's inside your liver right now. I can see what's, on the other side of this, on the whoever is in that building over there, for example. So that becomes transparent. And so, but think about the repercussions, the implications. This means that it's true freedom, because we are not relying on some guy in a white coat to tell me what's wrong with me, what's wrong with you. We're not relying on a government official to tell me if something is true or not, because I can see not just through the physical world, but through information. I am the information. If somebody sends me an email, I see something on YouTube. You see what I'm saying? Your consciousness becomes all of the information, so that I don't need an intermediate person to tell me this guy is fake, this is fake news, this is real news, this is the real Tom Cruise, this is the fake Tom Cruise. I will know because my consciousness is the information, if that makes sense. So these types of abilities are part of the universal conscious. That's how the universe works. This oneness, there is no separation between intelligent life and the physical universe. You are the physical universe. Your consciousness is. And so then the repercussions is the dismantling of the fake structures that are keeping us captive. The people who are
Right.
telling us what we should believe in, the people who are telling us what we should eat, the people who are telling us what drug we need, the people who are telling us what vaccine, let's not go there. But you know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
that is the evolution of the human species and DNA. Again, it's over time, but that is the direction we're taking. And that's the level that these benevolent extraterrestrials are living at. That's why they're helping us get there.
Does that make sense? Is there anything you have a question about that? Because you've been sort of on the other end of that. You just came out of a very serious illness in a way. So do you have a question for Caroline about that?
Well, Caroline, you're just saying things that I can really relate to. You were talking about having to dismantle the fake structures that are telling us what we should believe in, that are structuring our reality. They're formulating our thoughts, and we're allowing that to happen. And we've kind of mindlessly given that away to society in general, which is guiding itself in the way that a boat guides itself when it has a broken motor or whatever. I'm sorry, I totally blew that, but you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So that's what I'm saying. Like the evolution of the human is it's not one thing. It's like that triggers the collapse of the old paradigm structures. That's the reason why we have. That's why we have to awaken. Going back to your question, why do we have to awaken to who we really are? Because that's how the collapse happened. The problem is not the government. The problem is not the pharmaceutical. The problem is not the education. The problem is the consciousness of the people who created these systems. You can't fix the government. You can't fix the system. You have to fix the consciousness that created that system. And that's why awakening.
And we do that by knowing ourselves.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
See how we came 360.
Love it. Love it. It's beautiful.
So that really confirms what you got from the ETs, right, Anjali? I mean, this is what they're saying to you.
Everything that I'm hearing is so in line. Of course, we're expressing it in different ways, but that's because for me, this is a brand new idea to have this experience and to begin to recognize, what perhaps the history of this life has been for me, and like all. Maybe these milestones and markers along the way that I missed. Maybe I didn't understand exactly what they were and what they were representing and how and why I was experiencing things. So it's just, I'm just really enjoying learning from you, Caroline.
Awesome. That's great. So good to connect with you. That's another thing. I think, Roderick, that's also an Alan, my goodness. I think what you're doing is part of a massive awakening. I mean, I just want you to realize how important your work is, because see, when you bring people together, just like what we're doing right now, it's almost like we are amplifying, the energy is already there. A lot of people are just on the fence or what have you. A lot of people already get it. And so, or they need this to connect the dots. It's almost like they have it in them, but they need to hear somebody say it a certain way. It triggers, what? I know what she's talking about now, or something like that. Or whatever happened to me a few years ago makes sense now because of what she said. So when you bring people together and you're sharing, we're really, really pushing. We are really assisting humanity, through this awakening. So I'm very grateful for you guys.
One more thing, I think that I don't quite get the idea of lineage, because everyone has a different star lineage. So how do we connect with that? And aren't we all Earthlings at this point?
Well, so the way I see it, and in a nutshell, everybody is a hybrid. you are part human. I mean, obviously the packaging is human as much as possible, but you have another DNA, which is your original lineage. So it's like you are already coming in as a hybrid, and you are showing up, you're showing the human portion, so you can function, so you don't look like a freak, so you can function, like people think you're a human, but like I said, you have your original lineage there at the same time that needs to awaken through your unique cosmic lineage, that needs to awaken through your human DNA. So, and when you do that, that's how you evolve the human DNA, because the human DNA has never had a version like the way Alan's version is. You are appearing as Alan, with this hair and this eyes and this character and this personality, but you're also bringing, let's say, the Arcturian lineage in this configuration as it's never been done before. So everything that when you awaken to that, you're adding this configuration to the pool of possibility of DNA evolution and possibilities. Same with Roderick, same with everybody.
But would you say Anjali has met her lineage from what her story is? I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Anjali.
Anjali, I have to go back to what you said, and I have to look at what you did, because I can see the energy of what happened. So honestly, yesterday, you're the one telling the story yesterday, right? So I was hearing bits and pieces. So I didn't really hear the whole story, to be honest. So I have to kind of like go back to what you were saying to kind of see. I feel like you did, but you didn't recognize it. It's almost like it was like far, but you're not there yet. You're still kind of being taken there, if you will.
Yeah,
but I think
does that make sense?
Something. You've recognized something.
Right.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, Caroline. I don't I don't know about hybrids and lineage, but I will say that the contact that I had when I could first see this higher being, it was such a feeling of love that it was almost blinding, and it always is. And every time it's over, I am just left with wanting. I want more. I want to be in their presence. I want to continue that contact. I want to feel them because it feels so good.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering is that lineage? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and I'm so glad because I was talking about my story when I was 5 years old, and I was asking about love, and this is when those beings showed up, and it was just love. It was just love. But in addition to this, because there are many beings, non-human beings, that are very loving and know about unconditional love and connect with us through unconditional love. But there's something that happens. It's almost a recognition. It's almost like you, in addition to the love, so in other words, to answer your question, the fact that you felt amazing love, does that mean it's your lineage? Not necessarily. It just means it's benevolent energy, and it could be it, but not the only reason for for it to be your lineage. In addition to the unconditional love that you feel, there's a sense of recognition. It's almost like you can't see a difference between you and them. It's kind of a subtle thing, and deep inside you will know. You will just know. It's an experience. It's not something that you can describe. The closest in human terms would be, I feel like I don't feel a difference between me and them.
Okay, so now that you have said that, let me take you to the moment that the door slid open inside the base, and I'm standing there looking into the room that has been revealed behind it, and there's my being, and this being is like 7.5, 8 feet tall. I mean, its head is inside the room above the tall arch of the door, so it was quite tall. And immediately I recognized and knew I recognized who it was, and I felt a sense of connection that I have always, the last few years, I've just processed it as a connection because of the recognition and the time that we had already spent together. But maybe there's something more. I don't know, because I'm very unfamiliar with what we're talking about here right now.
Yeah, so I could see that being, I mean, I could see anyway beings around you. I think like it's leading you to your lineage, but like I said, it's a recognition. It's a recognition that you are the same. It's not that I recognize we were connected. Yeah, I mean, there's that too. But what I'm saying, in addition to all of this, there's a sense of seamlessness. Like it's like seamless, like you and them are the same, sort of.
But also talk of love. I mean, everyone talks about love. I don't think humans really understand that. I mean, you both have experienced it, but most is love the universal language, that deep sense that Anjali feels and you felt at 5 years old? I mean, why do we not get that here? Is it because we don't know who we are? Is that part of it?
Well, actually, I think the opposite of love is separation. And so I think what's happening is it's not just a concept that we're separate, like, different races or different religion. That's kind of like, on the psychological point of view, we talk about separation in that way. But I think it's really on literally the physical brain, the configuration of the physical brain has been dismantled, has been tampered with, so that certain connections within the brain give you the impression, the illusion that you are separate from the environment. It's at that level. So it's not like, oh, they voted for this guy, or or whatever, or he believes in this and she believes in that. It's literally on a DNA level and the physiological structure of the brain. That's how the human species was tampered with. Because if there is kind of like let's say the neurons and the signal, the electricity of the brain that's supposed to send information right or left. When you see something, you know what it is, you recognize it. And it's similar to what you were saying, Anjali, like you knew exactly who he was. He didn't have to have give you a business card to tell you, hello, my name is, you kind of knew. That's what I'm saying. When I was 5 years old, I knew exactly who they were, what they were, where they came from, what they wanted, everything. It's a seamless connection. And so, and we are supposed to, our human brain is supposed to function this way. And so through this electricity, through the communication system within the brain. So if I come and I put something exactly at certain points within your brain that stops this flow of information, then you have the impression that something came in, but you don't know what it is, because that connection is blocked. Does that make sense? So when we come in with and we grow up with this sort of kind of brain processing, we start to think that we are separate. We start to behave as if we're separate. And then this society ensues.
The grid work around the planet and the limitation this distorted grid has put on our capabilities of thinking. But recently, and I think the reason like people like Anjali is waking up is because this grid structure has now been, so we need to break out of our old conditioning, because it's no longer in place, but except we don't know that. It's like we're going over the same thing, but yet we are at a moment where we can be free of the old thoughts. That's like remote viewing, and everything that we are activating now is part of the higher mind, the higher brain. That's what I get, because
yeah, and we did this talk. Remember, I talk a lot about the configuration of the planetary grid, how it relates to the configuration of the human brain. I think people, it's on your channel, it's on my channel, YouTube channel. I think people need to listen to that because we go into detail how this tampering with the human brain. It's not like people came in and put a chip in our brain, but it is the same configuration as the planetary grid. So whatever I do there happens in my brain. Whatever I do there happens in my brain. And so that's how, the human brain was a little bit interfered with. So I encourage people to look at it on your channel or mine to understand more, because again, if you understand the bigger picture, then it's almost like you have a place to go. You have a direction. You're like, okay, wait, if my brain is aligned with these points and these points are blocked, then I need to align in a different way. So it's kind of opens you up to the bigger picture, and it really helps a lot.
Okay, one more question I want to involve Anjali and you and maybe Roderick. So Anjali, the beings she talked about last night, there were 7 races of aliens that had come here originally to help us and wanting us to return to the cosmos. 4 of those have left that group that wants to help. I think I'm telling this right, but it wasn't, in a sense, our doing. Of course, we have to take responsibility, but it's also because we've been disconnected from our divine self, right? So that's what I'm thinking, Anjali. So so why would, I'll put it out to both of you, why would a race of beings leave us if they can see that we've been tampered with, like abused in a sense? Do you know what I'm at?
I don't. Do you want me to answer this?
No, let me ask Anjali. Am I getting that right?
First, yeah.
Yeah, but I'd like to hear what Caroline has to say.
Okay, sure. Yes.
Well, again, it's in my book. People who are interested, the divine plan beyond now and beyond 2250. I'm not trying to sell, but I'm just saying, like, all the details are in there.
You can sell the book. It's good.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever. Yeah, on my website if you want to know. But what I want to say is that the different beings are here for a specific task. The fact that they leave, it doesn't mean that they've abandoned us. In fact, there are very, very unique types of beings that are absolutely glorious, much, much, much more powerful, that normally don't incarnate, don't occupy a physical planet such as the Earth. Even interdimensionally. In other words, they don't even come to the Earth plane ever, even if they stay on the other side of the veil, but within the Earth configuration. And a lot of them are here. And so even though certain races have left, to me, it doesn't mean, again, it just means that whatever they came to do is done. And there are those other beings that have stepped in. We're talking at a much, much, much higher level of intervention. So I know for a fact, because I can't prove it to you, but in this way, in a lab, but I know because these are the beings that I communicate with, and I know exactly where they are, what they're doing, and how they're doing it. And this has nothing to do with the local extraterrestrial races that, we hear about.
So, oh my gosh, I just have to ask you, Caroline, I'm so sorry. I had to jump in there real quick.
No, go ahead.
Alan.
No, do. Please. No, it's okay.
Okay, great. Now, you talked about other higher beings who never incarnate. And
yep.
I really want to share this experience. I had, in meditation a couple of weeks ago, I was contacted by a higher being that was different than the being that I have been in conscious contact with. Okay, it wasn't my lavender friend in the mountain. This being was nearly fully light and was if I had to say a color, it would be like this magnificent yellowish, goldish orange, very bright and different. And it was this being that continued to encourage me to come forward, that now was the time to do this.
No, that's what I was saying. So there are different types of beings doing different things. And so you're going to have different visitation depending on, where you're at or what you're needing at the time. So that makes perfect sense. You should read my book,
I think I'm going to.
Yeah, it's now The Divine Plan Now and Beyond 2250. So it talks about all these different types of being, but it's not just the being, like the overall picture. How is the Earth getting out of this, kind of stuck space that it's in? Cosmologically, like how it's going to realign within the cosmos, and how all the systems are going to, be transmuted and so on and so forth.
But what about those races that you talked about, Anjali? Sorry, I keep messing up your name.
It's okay.
Anjali.
It's Anjali, and it's
Anjali.
No worries, Alan.
Okay, Anjali. What about those races that have left, are helping us and are returning? That's the part I think Caroline maybe has a clue to.
Right, and okay, so to get into the nuts and bolts of that a little bit, the message was essentially that these four that had left were in some way, they were coming back or returning or going to reestablish contact. There was something that they're going to do, that the three that were remaining here were concerned that we needed to hurry up and transcend, okay, to speed up the process, that we needed to make some serious changes, and that there was an urgency to that. And I don't understand it, and I don't want to make people feel afraid. I wasn't afraid even afterwards when I was trying to communicate this message to people that were close to me. I wasn't afraid of the four because I felt so confident that there was so much love with the beings that I've had contact with. I just couldn't imagine that it could be a negative thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, I mean, you can look at anything in a negative way or in a positive way. I 100% know for a fact that we are being supported. I mean, come on, look at it. I mean, this planet with all the nuclear waste and with all the stuff, the toxic materials that we have created, this planet should have exploded a long time ago. I mean, honestly, and if the ETs wanted to invade us and this and that, I mean, what are they waiting for? I mean, we're this ridiculous species that, it's not like, all we do is kind of disagree, and we're conflicted, and, we're separated. So my point being, if the planet was supposed to be doomed, it could have been gone by now. That's the reason why, in addition to what I already know, that's the reason why I really strongly believe that there is a bigger plan. Even though things...
Yeah, her audio went out.
Yeah, we lost your audio. Go ahead. Okay. Her headphones ran out. Thanks, Roderick. So does that answer some of that, Anjali? But not all of it, because you have another piece there. Why the those races are coming back now? I mean, what else can you say?
And,
yeah,
I can't say a lot about it, except that the message seemed to be that that they don't have the same confidence in us, and maybe I'm getting that wrong, but that's certainly what the lingering message felt like, that they were returning, that we're coming to an end of something, the beginning of something else, and that it was crucial that we speed up our evolution so that when this thing occurs, whatever it is, that we are ready, and that seeking transcendence is the thing that prepares us for that. That's it.
I think, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, but Alan
dropped
audio
him.
Yeah,
I just want to say that, it's like, I think if you said something like whatever is coming, like whatever we're supposed to be preparing for. And what I want to say is that it's not one event that we're preparing for. The event is unfolding. So it's almost like
it's a change, right?
Yeah, it's a multidimensional thing. So it's not like one thing in a linear trajectory. So you are doing it now. We're not doing something so that in 2026 the event happens. It's like all the little bits and pieces that are unfolding are part of what is happening. Does that make sense? You see the difference?
It does. It really does. And especially this idea of multidimensional. I have been really hesitant to use those type of words for a lot of reasons. One is I don't want to scare away new people who are just coming to this idea of a higher consciousness and our ability to being able to tap into it, and this idea that perhaps we are all from one source of energy and life. And so I don't want to use a lot of words that may be too stigmatized for people to accept, but truly that is what I feel like they showed me. I felt like when they would say here but not here. I mean, that's how I received the data. It's here, but it's not here. And they showed me like everything is here, but it's not like right here, but it's here. And I know I keep repeating that, but it was that kind of circular explanation that was layered in with an understanding that there are other people, other beings, other creation that are here. They're right here. They're right next to us. And we are incapable right now of perceiving them. And that's what they're saying, that they're here, but they're not here, and that we have to tune in to that singular consciousness so that we can be there too with them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it's happening now. It's like, same with the UFO, the disclosure. I think people think that it's like this one day that this one thing is going to happen. It's already happening. I mean, there's, a little bit of disclosure here. The government says this here. People say this there. It's like, it's multidimensional, and it is unfolding multidimensionally.
Hey, Caroline, I got a text from Alan, and he was just asking me if he couldn't get back in, I can close out the program. And but here's the deal. What I want to tell everyone is, I am going to, I finished it, but I'm gonna upload last night's her entire what we did on Clubhouse last night. So for the listeners and the people that's in the audience, it'll be on the Extraterrestrial podcast. You can find it on Shopify. So when we hang up in about an hour, I'll have it up. It'll be broken into 2 parts because of the length. But you guys should definitely hear. Alan asked some great questions, and so there's some others.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me
now?
Yes.
We can hear you now.
Well, thank you, Roderick. I also want to say, Roderick does a great Clubhouse. Everyone watching here on Comcast and on YouTube, every Tuesday and Thursday night, 8:30 Central Time, get on Clubhouse, go to Extraterrestrial Evidence. We want to build a movement there and bring out messages like Anjali and Carolyn Cory. Carolyn, you'll be on the show at some point too, because
we can definitely market that book.
No, he's really a great marketer. So I think this conversation is a real important. This is the conversation that needs to happen, because it's not just, oh, we're being visited by UFOs, which is the whole problem I had with MUFON, but Roderick is upgrading MUFON to a whole other level. It's that this is vital to who
I'm
we
not
are.
upgrading MUFON. They just making better. They're bringing in great people.
No, but you're amplifying, and this is what we need at this time. This is why I love talking about this subject. I'm a little obsessed with this. So, Caroline, just to wrap up, I mean, I know there's a lot to say, and but I want just go over all the films you've done, if you want.
Yeah. Well, right now I think people
But
can.
and also,
Yeah. So right now it's
go ahead.
the two films are Among Us, which is all about extraterrestrials and hybridization and all that. So Among Us, it is on Amazon Prime. And Superhuman, the Invisible Made Visible, that is also on Amazon Prime, but also on other platforms. You can go to superhumanfilm.com and see all the information. And this is the one that has to do with the abilities and how, for telekinesis and remote viewing and all that good stuff. So I encourage everybody to watch these films.
Do you want to talk about what your work? Do you want to talk about anything you're working on now, or you want to surprise us?
I am just started pre-production on it's a UFO film, but it's a scientific perspective of the UFO phenomenon. It is huge. I mean, this movie is going to be incredible. I can't share too many details quite yet because we're still signing, but I think same thing like what I did with Superhuman, take that whole subject to a whole new level. I think you will be blown away about how we are approaching the UFO phenomenon and where we're taking it.
Look,
and how can people go ahead, Roderick? Go ahead. Yeah.
Look, I've been working on my one surprise expression. I would love to just do a cameo in your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my introduction to film. That's my only thing I can do right now.
Where are you based? Where are you located?
I'm in Dallas.
Where are you located?
Dallas, Texas.
But do you have any people get in touch with you, Caroline?
Yeah, I think the best thing is to go on the website, and you can send us an email to production@omniummedia.com, OMNIUM, omniummedia.com, or again go to the website superhumanfilm.com and go to the contact. Now, for people who are interested in the books and the classes and the training, can go to carolinecory.com. That takes us also to Omnium Universe. That's the same website. Go to the classes and the YouTube channel. Tons of free stuff there too. Wow.
And it's great what you've given us tonight. I loved every part of it, even the parts I couldn't hear. But it's all good. Anjali, do you want to talk about maybe anything you have planned? What you're up to?
Not at this time. No,
okay,
not tonight. I just really wanted to come in and participate in the conversation with Caroline a little bit and to learn more about her story. So thank you. Thank you very much for talking with me, Caroline.
Oh, it was a pleasure. I'd love to hear your story again. But thanks so much, you guys. Thanks for having me. This was awesome. We should do this again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Anjali, for jumping in there, because I really feel there's a lot that you will be sharing. That's just my thought, because we're all being amplified to a new level. We're all being upgraded, and some people, it's like boiling water. Sometimes things boil before others. And Roderick, give us a little closing about what you're up to and all the things you're involved with. I mentioned some, but go ahead.
Alan, can I just say goodbye? Thank you so much. I really appreciate you today. Thank you so much, Roderick, for facilitating this one more time. I just have some things I need to get to. So thank you very much, everyone.
Be in touch. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
And Sam, thank you
I
so
queued her in
much.
over my phone. Yeah. So
Bye, Roderick and Alan. I'll see you on Clubhouse.
Yes, you will hear
Clubhouse,
us on
yes.
Clubhouse. You will hear us on
Here,
Clubhouse.
well,
I just want to.
I can also see the subtle energy, so I'll see you too.
But you know what?
And I'll-
I just also want to say before you go. Tomorrow,
Yeah,
yes.
I have an interview tomorrow, Caroline. You said something big, and they have 170 million readers, so they're interviewing me tomorrow about Clubhouse and UFOs and in a community. So maybe that is that knock me over the head sign, right?
Yes,
Exactly.
fantastic. Good for you.
All
right, guys.
I also want to say Carolyn is a part of Making Contact, the new book that is out from St. Martin's. It's due out May 4th. You can order it on Amazon. I put the Amazon link there in the chat. I think it's a real breakthrough book because people like Caroline and a bunch of other experts are now coming forward to talk about how to prepare for a global contact experience. Thank you, Caroline, for being part of that.
Thanks so much,
And,
you guys. Lots of love. See
thank
you.
Thank you. And so, Roderick, it's me and you again, right here.
Right here, yes.
Thanks for your input, and I really like your involvement in this, and also everything else you're doing with MUFON. Do you want to talk a little bit about your participation with MUFON and what MUFON is?
Well, I think for the listeners who are people that's watching, MUFON is it's short for Mutual UFO Network. They're one of the largest organizations worldwide for when it comes down to reporting of UFOs and abductions. They have a whole series, but they also allow people like myself who at some point in our lives just really took an interest in ufology to have an opportunity to become a investigator. And it started for me because I was a member, and you can watch some of their files a little bit, but then I got a little more nosy, and I was like, I need more. I'm hungry, of course, not because I'm a big guy, but I'm hungry. Right. So I'm like, okay, let me, pay a little more and study. And then, took the opportunity to become an investigator, which gives you more of an inside look. Not only they train you, but it gives you more of an inside in-depth look. But then now with the opportunity of Clubhouse and the YouTube channel, the podcast, the website, all the stuff that's putting together under the umbrella of extraterrestrial evidence, it's just expanded, right? And, I'm meeting great people like yourself and, Caroline, who just people I wouldn't have probably have met in my everyday life, but I can't say that I didn't dream and knew that something big was going to happen when I knew that I wanted to be a conduit within the ufology community, and so it's happening.
Tell people where to find the interview we did, because I thought that came out really well.
The one that me and you did by video?
Yeah.
That one will be complete. Probably I'm on the third video. Alan and I did a video that we're going to place on his YouTube channel and one on mine. We did a 4-part series where he really went in depth, and I think some great topics and answering some questions. You guys do not want to miss that. And we'll probably between now and over the weekend, you'll start seeing part 1, part 2, and part 3 and 4. It's 4-part series. So you'll have a copy of it. You can put it on your website, and then I'll put it on YouTube through the YouTube channel Extraterrestrial Evidence. So if you guys go there, he has 80,000 subscribers already. I got 150, so I can use a couple more,
No, but you're big on Clubhouse, so I'm really happy that we can work together like this, and you can be part of the co-hosting and my book, which Roderick has been pushing on Clubhouse. So we want to get this to be a bestseller, not because of me, but because I think it really
Austin Bird Broker
a message. Oh, what was that? That was interesting, but it delivers the message. I don't think it was the message that just came on, but it delivers a message about who we are.
It's still hooked up.
Oh,
so
can we bring that up, Scott? I just want to thank Scott for also Harney for producing the show on Comcast and live by the people in the remote viewing class, because that is really a solid group that has come together, and we are like a collective consciousness sometimes. So thank you all for being there. This is my book on Amazon. Just go to Making Contact. You can write my name, Alan Steinfeld, Making Contact. Some marketer said, don't have people order one book, have them order 3 books, one for yourself, one for the friend who never believes what you're talking about when you say UFOs, and the other for your family who always thought you were a little strange. So 3 copies that you could give out, and let's make it a bestseller. Why not? I mean, there's a lot of garbage out there. Why not get something great for people to read? Because actually, I think it is well written, because I only wrote one little piece. And then we have Moulton Howe, Grant Cameron, Whitley Strieber, John Mack. I mean, I've had Bashar, well, not Bashar, but Darryl Anka wrote a chapter, an original chapter. So I think it's a really great collection. Thank you all for watching tonight. Thank you, Roderick, for being here. I really appreciate it. All your help, assistance, and fortitude is the word that came to me.
Listen, I'm appreciative of you. You know, it's again, I appreciate all that you're doing, and you really have just guided me through a place that I thought would be a little cloudy, but with your help, is I can see it, and I'm enjoying it, and just being here with all of you that's here, and with Alan, and a great guy. Believe me, what you see here is not what you get. He's a great guy on the other side of the
What do you mean?
Well, I'm having an opportunity to talk with you on a daily basis, and that relationship is just growing, and more than just the author of a book, more than just, you know, a person that's here, you know, talking, but you share other things, you know, that I'm learning from when it just come to everyday life, but how it all intertwines, you know. And so
no, I have to admit, this has been what I do. Some people have had jobs, some people had careers, families. This is all I've done, is talk about this stuff and investigated it. And here we are. So it's hopefully making a difference. It is for some people, and I'm really happy to do this. Why not? What else? You know,
nothing just happened. That's why, right?
I know I found something I really enjoy. So thank you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/newrealities. Get the book, and look for Roderick and me sometimes, most of the time, on Clubhouse, Tuesdays and Thursday night.
You had some audio problem there. It's going in and out.
8:30 Central.
Yeah. But for all of you guys,
all right. But the evidence, extraterrestrial evidence. Okay. So tell them. Extraterrestrial evidence, Clubhouse. Thank you all. Thank you, Scott. Okay, let's call this a wrap.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night from S-TV.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.